So today, the title of the lesson today is Change Your Story. And we want to discuss the stories that we have perpetuated in our lives that have given us the results that we have today. We know that whatever we are today, it's an aggregation of all that we've experienced in the past, both the good, the bad, the ugly, everything that has brought us to where we are. It's those are things that the stories we are talking about. And some of these stories, we all know that some of them have been great. Then if they've been great, we want to do more of that to see greater good in our situation. We definitely will want to experience more greatness, abundance, love, peace, joy, every good thing. So whatever we've done in the past that giving rise to the good that we have today, we want to do more of that. That's living the affirmative life. But peradventure, the results ain't great. We want as truth students to look into changing those stories so we can have the life we all want, the life we all dream about. And to achieve this, we have to alter our personal narrative from a state of negativity, limitation, suffering to one of positivity, possibility, and empowerment. What have you been telling yourself that's hindering you? What have you done? What beliefs have we had in the past that's keeping us, stagnated us to where we are now? Dr. Greg would often say, he quotes, "Suffering is not God ordained." So if you're going through a thing that is not what is divine purpose for you, you can change that. Everything would say starts in the mind. Every seed starts in the mind. What are we conceiving in our mind? What are our thoughts? We've had lessons where we talked about guiding our hearts with all diligence, for out of it flows the issues of life. How are we sieving what we allow into our mind? Because those things are seeds, they grow, they germinate, and they bear fruits. Definitely. We also talked about being the guardian at the gate. So we want to be conscious of what we let into our being. So this change is not just about we are trying to alter the external things, no. But fundamentally, we are talking about transforming our lives, transforming how we perceive and interact with the world and all that there is. Everything that we see on the outside starts from the inside. If we have a positive mindset, it reflects on everything we see. We'll see ourselves glow, smile, because the inside is good. So we're talking about changing our stories in case they've not been good, in case they've not been great, lifting. We're always talking about we are lifters, we are not leaners. One way we can get into that, it's like we said a little while ago in one of the classes, getting rid of unforgiveness. I said forgiveness is one way to change the narrative. If you've been experiencing things that are untoward in your life, you want to look in to know if you have any unforgiveness lingering somewhere. And what it does is that it offers us so much if we want to change the trend of negativity. You know what? When we have unforgiveness within, there's so much grief, there's so much resentment, there's so much anger. And what does this do? There are weights that slow us down. There are weights that try to block our focus from seeing clearly. Even times when we're in quiet moments, you just find those resentments, those things playing around. So we want to deal with unforgiveness. When we learn to forgive and let go, it brings us to a state of profound peace and contentment. We always talk about the peace that passes all understanding. We're talking about changing our stories, and we're saying that we want to let go of anything that will slow us down, every weight. Unforgiveness is one of those things. And when it does that, it gives us a deep sense of well-being that arises from letting go of the past. One of the best places to be creative is when we have a deep sense of well-being. You have all your faculties intact. You can think clearly because you do not have any weights of unforgiveness, any resentments hanging on. You're light, you can move, can be creative, you can declare the things you want. And in addition to that, we also want to align ourselves. We talked about aligning ourselves with the flow of the universe. And we say that when we align ourselves, it gives so much, again, peace, flow, divine direction, harmony, and everything good. So when we align with spiritual principles, again, of whatever that is true, we're always talking about being true students. When we align ourselves with these spiritual principles of whatever that is true, whatever that is honorable, whatever that is right, whatever that is pure, whatever that is lovely, whatever is of good repute, when we dwell on these things, we have a foundation, a bedrock that we can stand on and change our stories if they are not what we want. Because we fill ourselves with all that is good, all that is pure. And on that, we create the life that we want. So our action, our thoughts are guided by higher spiritual values rather than the just material concerns. That again, we're talking about changing our stories and aligning ourselves, our thoughts, our everything with the flow, with the divine flow, and aligning with spiritual principles, thinking about those great ideas. When we change what we think about ourselves, about people, about places, about things, we can change our whole life. It's all about how you see things and what you believe about yourself. What do you believe about yourself? How do you see yourself? Do you see yourself as one with divine? If those stories are not what you want, you can change them, absolutely. We always talk about it's only a thought and a thought can be changed. We also talked about the power that we have in the present moment. Yesterday, and with all its baggages, ended last night. Now is the time that we have, and we can change our stories. And I have a question. Are you ready to turn your life into something awesome? Everything, again, depends on us. If we are ready, then we have what it takes to do that. We have what it takes to do that through this teaching, through the principles, through these truth principles. When we apply it, we can change any story. No matter how long it's been there, no matter how deep, we can change it. We are connected to infinite possibilities. So if we are ready, if you do that, we want to start by changing the story you tell yourself. What do you tell yourself? Say we wake up in the morning, what do you tell yourself? Do you see a lively stone? Or do you see a dead wood? Do you wake up live and be grateful that this is the day, another great day? Do you say, oh, something happened, oh, the day is damned? Or do we declare and proclaim what we want to see? How do you see yourself? What do you tell yourself? Do you tell yourself you're blessed, you're prosperous, you're supplied and supported? Again, we've talked about the power of our words. What do you do with that power? We want to start changing the story we tell ourselves. I am the head. I am complete. I'm whole. I'm healed. I am abundant. In this situation, only good would come. What do you tell yourself? Do you look at yourself in the mirror and approve of what you see? Do you look at yourself in the mirror and declare things to yourself? What do you declare? What do you proclaim? What do you tell yourself? Whatever people or any other person says about you, that does not really matter. What matters most is what you know and what you tell yourself. That is the most important thing. Like Dr. Greg will also always say, what you think about me it's not important. And do you know that what is my story might be the single most important question you can ask yourself? Because in that what is my story would have what you have come here to be, would have purpose. It will also detail how to achieve purpose. And once you have all this in front of you, it makes it easier to focus and work towards it. What is my story? What is my purpose? How do you see yourself in line with what the universe or God has created you to be? And our story is the way we view life events as they occur. Each of us, we all have our history. We come from a place where we are raised by people, we've interacted with people. So many things have happened. So we all have stories. Do you allow that story to control your today and your tomorrow? Do you allow the trend, if they've been downward, to determine your future? What has been the story? For some, it's, I can never do this. Anytime I try this, I will never succeed. That's been the story. But do you know every story is subject to the power that is within you? Every story is subject to the power of the present moment. But there's only one thing that can let the story proceed, continue. It's only you if you allow it. We are connected to the divine. We are connected to infinite possibilities. So how can any other thing be more powerful than the possibility, than the power that we have within? We also have stories with one another. We have preconceived ideas. How are we walking around these stories in order not for it to affect our creations, in order not for it to affect the power that we have in the present moment to be creative? We also have sets of beliefs that we have acquired along the way. We have so many beliefs that's framed our life. Again, what we believe in our hearts is what we end up living. It will just manifest because that's what you filled your brain with. As a matter of fact, if you believe in everything working out for your own good and seeing the good in every situation, and you see yourself navigating challenges like never before because you always look out for the good in every situation. Sometimes we stop ourselves from trying new things because we think we cannot do them. Again, you have within you that belief that you cannot do it. Or maybe you feel someone that in your mind is better than you, stronger than you, tried it and failed. So because that person failed, you also fall into that category. You cannot do it. But that is you forgetting the aggregation of the power, the divine that you are. Because nothing is impossible if you believe. Sometimes, like I said, we stop ourselves from trying new things because we think we cannot do them. This kind of thinking can make us say things like, why should I even try? Or this doesn't make sense. And when we think like this, we are pretty much saying no to our dreams, no to changing our stories, and we stop ourselves from growing and succeeding. You don't succeed when you don't step out. The demonstrations come in the stepping out, in the action. So what are the things we filled our being with? What do we believe? What do we think of ourselves? Like I said, when you wake up in the morning, what do you see? Do you see divine being starting his or her day with possibilities? This kind of negative thinking is like a big flashing sign that it's time to change the story in your head. When you begin to think of it's not working out, things are slow, this is happening, every negative thoughts, and you begin to feed those thoughts, then it's time to change the story. That's just a signal that no, this is not what I want to create. And that's why we always talk about on Thursdays the tendencies of those thoughts. When we begin to sound in a particular pattern, negative, down, then it's time to change the trajectory. And we can do that because we talked about always the power in the present moment. It's only a thought, and a thought can be changed. The story you believe about yourself shapes everything. What you do, where you go, how you face life. It's very important how you face life. Do you face life already as a loser, as victim, or do you come like a victor? You've won already, because victory is assured. It's signed, sealed, and delivered. So when this happens, we want to stop telling ourselves the stories that hold us back. I can't do this. I tried it. I never succeeded. What about I can do all things? What about declaring the things that you want? You can do all things. Have you ever caught yourself thinking things like, I need to be perfect. I'm too old. I'm not cut out for this. Or all the things you say you cannot do. When you begin to hear this, then it's time to change the story. Thoughts like these are exactly what keep you from reaching your biggest goals and living your dreams. Remember, it starts with a thought. And before you know, you begin to manifest it. But here is the good part. You can totally change it. It's only a thought, like we say, and a thought can be changed. We talked about it again. We can cancel those negative thoughts head on. and give yourself some encouragement instead of doubt. We can replace it with great and empowering thoughts. Think of beautiful things and experiences you've had in the past. Think of the victories you've had in the past. If that happened to you, it can happen again much more. Because we are coming to an understanding of who we are. We are coming to an understanding of the power that we have within us. We are coming to an understanding of the connection, the oneness we have with divine. So that means we can do much more. And when we do this, we change our whole mindset and our life in amazing ways. You'll even be surprised. Oh, I was able to nip this negative thought in the bud and achieve this. So why don't I keep monitoring that and nipping it? That's the affirmative living we are talking about. And some other stories, like I said earlier, I have to be perfect. Aiming for perfection can be limiting and counterproductive. And someone described perfection as the lowest standard because what it does not give us room for growth, for learning, and for improvement. Because you're striving to just be perfect. But again, we understand through our classes here that everything, both the good, both the bad, everything is working out for our own good. Every experience is a teacher to us. We are to learn from every experience. Mistakes are bound to happen. And when we know that every experience, like I said, is a teacher to us, it provides us the opportunities to learn and to improve. One of our lessons, we also learned not to call mishaps failures, but they're experiments because they all bring us to greater understanding. It's just an experiment, not that you failed. You've learned a better way to do it, a better way not to do it. It's all about learning. It's a process. So we seek process rather than perfection so that we can have a balanced, happy life. We're trying to change our stories, the stories that give us the today that we don't want. So when you have that fixed mindset, you have to do it, you have to be perfect. That is being restrictive. You're restricting yourself. So we want to learn from mistakes and make meaningful progress towards our goal rather than trying to be perfect. It's all about progress. We're all work in progress. Another one that we often hear or happens to us, we say, life is harder. My life is harder than anyone else's. When this begins to happen, or you say this or think about this, then it's time to change the story. It's time to change the story and stand on your faith and say, this is not me. I want to live the affirmative life. I'm living the affirmative, and declare and work towards what we want. This means someone thinks they have more difficulties than others. However, we all have our own challenges. The way you deal with situations would always help to improve your life. So if something happens and we begin to feel defeated in mind, in just a little time it will manifest. But when you see a challenge, a difficult situation as a stepping stone and look out for the good in that situation, you will definitely find it. If you look, you'll find. If you don't look, you won't find. We have examples of people that faced problems but still became successful. J.K. Rowling, who wrote the Harry Potter book, was once struggling and didn't have much money, but she kept on writing and became famous and prosperous. Challenges, if we can change our perspective of challenges, of difficulties, of to see it as a learning curve, there's some good in this. Like I said, it's only when you look that you find. And we also say everything is working out for our own good. There's a reason for that occurrence. We also know of Thomas Edison, who invented the light bulb, failed many times before he succeeded. There's always something to learn. There's always something to pick in every situation. We are talking about changing our stories. And when you begin to feel your life is more difficult than that, then it's time to take a retrospective look and change that story. The point is, having challenges doesn't stop you from doing great things unless you believe it will. Again, if we believe that it will, then it will. Another one that happens that when we see, then we know we need to change our story. It's if I ignore it, it will go away. Or you have a challenge, and I think, the best way is just to ignore it, avoid it, take a different way, and all that. The saying, if you ignore it, means someone thinks avoiding problems will make them disappear. But this is not really the truth. It's not really the truth. To really change and improve, you need to see things as they really are. And they say, call a spade a spade. Call it what it is. Don't avoid it. Problems don't usually go away just because you ignored it. They have a tendency of staying there until you deal with them. Face your challenges with the understanding that the universe has your back and supports your every step. Challenges will always come. So if we know that we are aligned with the universe, we have the flow, the guidance and the backing of the universe, and it responds to our every thought and action, then we can face those challenges and be assured that of victory. Again, I'd like to talk a little, bring the eagle into this again, because the eagle will always be faced with storms. And once the eagle foresees that a storm is coming, you know what the eagle does? It opens its wings wide and thrusts the storm with the chest. And what happens is that once the eagle collides with the storm lifts the eagle higher than the storm. So the challenge that the storm that every other creature is hiding from or running away from, it lifts the eagle above it. Just like I said, every challenge, every difficult time is not there to defeat you. It's for you to learn. It's to improve you. It's for us to learn. When the storm of life or challenges hit us, we can rise above them and soar like the eagle that rides the winds of the storm. So you just go above the challenge. And that is how we're supposed to see challenges and difficult situations. So we don't want to be afraid of the storms or the challenges of our life. It's meant to lift us to greater heights. Another one that when we hear, then we know we need to change the story of what we're thinking is I am too young or I'm too old. We talked about this a number of times. The idea I'm too young, I'm too old suggests that someone thinks their age can stop them from making changes in their life. Again, when you think about that and what we say about now is the acceptable time, the power is in the present moment. Everything we want to change can be done now in the now. So what matters most is what we think of ourselves and what we say and believe too. What do you think of yourself? What do you believe? Do you allow the trends, the beliefs of the past to direct your today and your tomorrow? So don't let what other people or what people say. We don't want to be consumed by what people say or think about us. It's only what you think about yourself that matters. And what you make out of that thinking, that beliefs, that matters. Well, another one, again, it's I'm not just happy. I'm not just the happy type. That's one other thing that we feel as I'm not just the happy type. I will just take it that is, I've always been like this. No. Through our understanding of this teaching, we know we can change those things. And again, we know that we have power in our words and we can change it. And happiness is something we choose. Can choose to be happy. Your being happy is not determined by another person or circumstance. We can actually choose to be happy. It comes from what we do, not just from things we own on the surface level. So choosing to be happy, it's your decision. I choose to be happy. Even when everything is not looking that way, I have chosen to be happy. We always talk about this again. If we want to change those stories that we've had over time, we hear these words. It can only happen when we practice, when we step out in faith. Like I said, the demonstrations would come out in stepping out. We practice this principle, practice it as we declare it, as we do our affirmations. We have to practice. Practice. We can't say that enough. We want to practice, we want to be around. That's why we always are grateful. We are creating an environment where we have like-minded people, positive people. When you talk about your demonstrations, I'm encouraged to push further. We want to spend time with people who care about us and support us. I would go through some questions and I want us to listen to it and try to answer that within ourselves. What negative stories am I repeating to myself? What struggles or triggers bring these thoughts to the surface? Remember, the title is Change Your Story. So, what negative stories am I repeating to myself? I'm not good enough. I cannot do it. Do you repeat that to yourself? You're a failure. Do you say that to yourself because you tried a number of times? It might not even be you. It might be someone, your friend or someone in your family did something and did not succeed, and you just took that in. And this doesn't work for us. What negative stories am I repeating to myself? I have an affirmation for this. I am aware of the power of my thoughts. Each time I notice a negative story emerging in my mind, I gently acknowledge it and guide myself back to positivity and strength. I understand my triggers, and with this knowledge, I empower myself to transform my thoughts into stepping stones for growth and compassion. I have another question. What past experiences or comments have contributed to these beliefs? Remember, while I can't alter the past or what people say, I possess the power to stop letting these experiences dictate and direct my life. What past experiences or comments have contributed to these beliefs that slow us down? We're talking about changing our stories, and we have beliefs that we've held a long time that have made us unproductive. Remember, you and you alone are responsible for who you are and what you are. The past, the yesterday ended last night. I have another affirmation for this. I acknowledge my past, but refuse to be defined by it. I am the architect of my present and future. I am co-creating my life and building a life of positivity and strength. I refuse to be defined by the past, by the negative past. Another question, why am I clinging to these negative beliefs? Am I gaining something like attention by playing the victim? Of course, we know holding on to negativity traps us in a cycle of repetition, preventing growth and learning. Sometimes we just hold on to things because we gain attention. We do the fairness thing. People pity us, and we just enjoy it. I mean, individuals, we just want the attention. We're playing the victim. Oh, sorry about this, and you're stuck with that. And you just like the attention and stagnate yourself. Florence Scovel-Shinn says, the game of life is the game of boomerangs. Our thoughts, deeds, and words return to us sooner or later with outstanding accuracy. With outstanding accuracy, what you sow, you reap. If you fill yourself with negativity, you reap that. An affirmation for this. I release the need for negative beliefs and victimhood. I embrace growth and learning, breaking free from old patterns to experience joy and progress. Another question that I like is, how would my future look if I released these negative beliefs? I mean, that leaves some for us to conceptualize things, visualize things. What would I look like if I don't hold on to these negative beliefs? What would my life be if I let go of these beliefs, of these old stories? Can you imagine how lighter your life would have been? And if you're lighter, you would have moved faster. You would have perceived things better. The clarity will be so razor clear. What would your life be? What would our life be without playing the victimhood, without all the negative, without the unforgiveness, all those weights that slow us down? Visualize the possibilities that open up. When we cling to the past, we justify harmful patterns. That's what we do. We are clinging to it. We look for ways to justify it. And we keep ourselves stuck. The scripture says, as you think in your heart, so are you. I have another affirmation for this. I visualize a future filled with success and happiness, unburdened by past beliefs. Each step I take is towards brighter and more fulfilling life. Again, this is all about changing the stories of our life that has brought what we see today. And we are saying that we have the power to change that. You have the power to change that. Every story that is giving you the negative outcomes today, we can change that. We can actually stop it. We have the power to do that. It's called the affirmative living. We can do that. And we can do all things. So whatever are those stories that you do not want, that you do not even know when you create them because you've gotten so used to them, it's just an autopilot. You can't change those stories. And that's what we gather each time to tell us that we are the architect of our own future. You can create your tomorrow. We are co-creators. What are you creating? Any creations that you do not want, we can uproot it. It's mind treatment. Replace every negativity with positive thoughts. Do your affirmations, do your affirmative treatment. Declare what you want. So we want to remember that the narrative of our life is not set in stone. You have the power to rewrite them. Every day brings us new opportunities to shape our story, to learn, to grow, to transform. We always have new moments. What do we do in those new moments? Your past does not define you. Rather, it's a narrative we can choose to rewrite. And your future is filled with possibilities. I can't stress this enough. We are connected to infinite possibilities. With the understanding that we have, nothing can stop us. Because we are one with possibilities. We possess immense power to say no to any and all unwholesomeness that may cloud our journey. We have the power to say it, keep declaring it, keep doing it, keep practicing it. We want to also tap into the power of the present moment and everything, the potential within it, and change our story. We can do it. We've done it in the past and we can do it again. And that's what we want to encourage everyone, that if the stories are not what you want, you can't change them, and you have the power to change your story.